but this is not entirely related to that particular campaign. You are not expected to know everything about GenAI, so we will be here making you understand a bit about Gemini Pro and LLM as well. Today's session will be taken by Anagha Kulkarni, and the facilitator for this time around GenAI Study Jam campaign is Piyush Jugeja. So, if in case you have any queries regarding how to do a certain lab, or if you're facing certain issues, you can definitely reach out to any of the JDC core team member, or you can contact Piyush directly as well. He'll guide you on that front as well. So, with that introduction about what exactly GenAI is and what we are going to do, I I would request everyone that I hope everyone's friend has at least joined, and we'll be starting now. Okay. Hi. So, as you all know me, I am Soumya Tripathi, current GDSC lead from our campus, and today's session is LLM Insights with Gemini Pro, taken by Anagha. And we will, without further delay, we will start with today's session. Anagha, I think we can start now. If you are connected, just let me know.
Yes, definitely we can start.
Yeah, sure, sure. We can start now then.
Yeah. So I'll share my screen first.
Yeah. Before that, just give me a moment until she's sharing her screen. I would request everyone to RSVP themselves on the link that I've shared in the chat box. It is a pinned link, so just make sure that you have RSVP'd yourself. Also, if in case of any disturbance from your side, we will not be hesitating to remove you right from the meet. So I expect absolutely no disturbance from your end. We hope that you understand this is coming from a fact that a lot of students here are to learn and we don't want to disturb them. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Anubhav.
Yes. So is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying your vacations. But it is also important to utilize these holidays to upskill yourself and learn new technologies so that you can use these technologies in your projects next year, right? So that's what GDSE is for. So GDS is back with a session, LLM Insights with Gemini Pro. We'll learn about what is LLM, working of LLM, and what is LangChain, LangChain's architecture, and then we'll build an application using Gemini Pro. It will be based on the LLM, right? So yes. So before we get into LLM, let us first understand the fields of AI. So it is often visualized in four layers. The first is artificial intelligence. It is a broad term. It generally deals with the intelligent machines, right? So it's like it has these machines. They try to uh, answer you depending on the like. It's based on the human intelligence. It will also match with us. Next one is the machine learning. Now, here it specifically focuses on pattern recognition in data. So, as you can imagine, once you recognize a pattern, you can apply that pattern to new observations. So, for example, I have a song, and I have two types of songs, Sufi song and hip hop song. And I give two characteristics, energy and tempo. So, we know that Sufi song, traditional Sufi songs have low energy and low tempo, and hip hop songs have high energy and high tempo. So I want to build a model which will predict the type of song. So what I do is I form a data set, maybe consisting of 100 songs, where I give the energy and the tempo of that song, and I will say that okay, this song is the Sufi song with low energy and low tempo, and with high energy and high tempo, it is a hip hop song. So now what I want the model to predict, uh, whether it is a Sufi song or a hip hop song when I give a new song to it, which is not present in the data set. So this is the typical classification uh, problem of machine learning. It will learn from the data set, it will be trained on the data set, and then it will predict, okay, the new song which I've given, it says that the characteristics is low energy and low tempo. It means based on the data set that I have, the data set says that this should be a Sufi song. Okay, so it will return me an output as Sufi song. Now, this is machine learning. But in reality, the in the relationship between the outputs and the input and the output is very complex. So rather than only two inputs, as in our example, we often have tens, hundreds, or even thousands of input variables. And in addition, we have more than two classes. So here in our example, we had only two classes, right? Sufi song and hip hop song. But in reality, in real world problems, there may be more than two classes. So these classes depend on the inputs through an incredibly complex non-linear relationship. And more the complex relationship between input and output, the more complex and powerful the model is. So this is where neural network comes in, that is deep learning. Neural networks are powerful machine learning models that allow complex relationships to be modeled. So these are the engine that enables learning such complex relationships at a massive scale. So neural networks, they are loosely inspired by our brain. So just like how our brain contains neurons, neural networks also contain a sequence of layers of connected neurons. Okay, and the input signal, that is the input variable, it passes through those layers to predict the outcome variable. So you can imagine the neural networks as layers, and it contains many layers, which are deep. So hence we call it deep learning. Okay, so it can be the layers can be extremely large. For example, ChatGPT, it is based on the neural networks, and it consists of 176 billion neurons. So yes, it is that large number of layers. So I won't go much into detail about the deep learning. This is enough for you to understand what is large language model. So finally, we can talk about LLM, which is based on the deep learning, which is based on such neural networks, which contains neurons. So here, let us break the three terms, that is LLM, into three terms: large language models. Here, large means it simply refers to the number of neurons, or also known as parameters. So parameters is a very important term when we are talking about the LLM, right? So parameters is nothing but variables. Simplified version, that is variables, the input variables that we give in the neural network. And language model is basically predicting the next word in a sequence. So if I give an input that cat likes to sleep in the dash, so what word comes next? This is done by the language model. So I give the input to the neural network, LLM, and then there will be a database kind of thing in the LLM which contains words and the probability. Probability is means what is the probability of that word to complete that sentence. So first word here, for example, I have ability. It has the probability of 0.002. So it means that it has the lowest probability. So it cannot complete the sentence like the cat likes to sleep in the dash ability. No, it won't make any sense. So it has low probability. Next is back. Okay, this probability is 0.071. Okay, so it can be one of the word to complete that sentence. Next is box. It has the highest probability, 0.085. So yes, it can complete the sentence. Similarly, the word is zebra, which has the lowest probability. So this word cannot be uh, present in the output. So hence, the LLM will return the word with the highest probability, that is box. So the sentence will be completed. The cat likes to sleep in the box. So we have 50,000 such classes. Here classes means words. So they are represented or known as classes. So this is the database kind of thing that is present in the LLM, and this is nothing but language modeling, where it predicts the next word in a given input. So here, let us first define what is LLM. So large language models are a category of foundation models trained on immense amount of data set, making them capable of understanding and generating natural language, that is the human language, and other type of content to perform a wide range of tasks. So what it does is it understands and generates the human language, generates the text, okay, and other types of content to perform a number of tasks. Like uh, it can generate text, it can complete the code, just like how ChatGPT does. We give a code and we tell it to debug the code or complete the code or translate a text, and predict a text and nothing and some various other tasks. So uh, The main feature of this LLM is that it is trained on a data that is found online, a massive amount of data that is found online, from web scraping to books, transcripts, or anything that is text based can be trained into LLM. Now, when I say a large amount of data, it is enormous amount of data. So, for example, if I have a file of 1 gigabit size, it this file can store about 178 million words. Okay, 178 million words, and such gigabit size files are stored in 1 petabyte. And how many gigabyte files are stored in 1 petabyte? It is 1 million 1 million gigabyte files. So basically, I'm saying that LLM contains files that are petabytes in size, which contains 1 million gigabyte files. So here is one more example. The garden was full of beautiful. This is the input that I gave to LLM, and the output will be flowers, because it is it will see, it will do a similarity search between the words that it contains, the data set that it contains, and it will see, okay, there's a word called garden present here, so it means that flowers can be the most probable word that can complete the sentence, right? So I hope you understand the basics of LLM. Now, what is the difference between an LLM and the traditional programming that we used to do, say in machine learning, etc.? Now, in traditional programming, you're explicitly teaching computers how to do things. That is, it is instruction based. You're giving a set of instructions and saying that, okay, you have to do this task. So, for example, if X, then Y. If X is the input, then Y is the output. You're saying this task to the computer. But in LLM, you're not just teaching how to do things, you're also teaching how to learn to do things. So the LLM will learn on its own from the dataset, and it can predict new content. So next we'll talk about phases of training LLMs. Uh, there are three main phases: pre-training, instruction fine-tuning, and reinforcement learning. So what is pre-training? Okay, as I said, LLM is trained on a massive amount of data set, which anything that is available on the internet, books, etc. So these data are stored in the LLM database. Now, what is the problem with this? Here, the model does not know what to do with that data. Like, it has all the data present, but it does not know like what I have to do, what task I have to do with this data set. Do I have to answer? Do I have to summarize the data present, or do I have to answer specifically based on the questions? It does not know. So it is not aligned with what we want it to do. So that's why we do instruction fine tuning. That is, we teach the model to do a specific task. That if this is the instruction, we tell it that, okay, do not use any technical terms. If I say this to the model, then next time when I ask a question to the LLM model, it will not use any technical terms, it will use only simple terms. So this is where we are fine tuning the model. That is, we are training the model based on a specific task that I have to do. If I want to build a recipe generator, then I'll say that based on the ingredients that I give to the chatbot, you have to uh, you have to predict what dishes that I can make, right? So this is where I fine tune the model. Next is the reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is a type of learning where it learns from the human feedback. For example, if I give a query that I want to know something about, a topic like what is generative AI, and it does not give me a detailed answer, it gives me a short answer. So I'll say to the chatbot that I want a detailed answer. Now this is the feedback that I'm giving to the model, so it will understand that, okay, I have to give a detailed answer. So this next time will give a detailed answer. So this is the type of learning which is reinforcement learning, and it learns from the human feedback. So it helps produce output that is closer to what humans want or like. So it will we're basically training the LLM according to how we want it. Now, working of LLM is divided into 9 simple steps. Okay, where the first one is the data collection, that I spoke about, a massive amount of data, large amount of data are fed into the database. Now, this is textual data from articles, books, websites, and other sources. Next is the tokenization. Now, this is very important. Once the training data is collected, it undergoes a process called tokenization, where it breaks the data into small tokens or small parts. A token can be a word, subword, or characters, depending on the specific model and language. So, this allows the model to process and understand text at a granular level, at a detailed level. So, because the data is very vast, so it cannot understand the data in such format. So, that's why it will break the data into tokens, or you know, uh, we can also refer to it as words for our understanding. So it will break the complete sentence into words, and it will understand or learn from that words. Next step is the pre-training phase. So pre-training, as I spoke about, it learns from the tokenized text data, and it learns to predict the next word in a given sequence of tokens. Now, this is unsupervised learning because we are not providing a structured database. We are not providing a labeled database. We're just providing whatever data that is present in the present online. So that's why this is unsupervised learning. And it in this phase, it understands the language of the data that is present, the patterns, the grammar, and the semantics. Semantics means the meaning of that sentence. Next is the transformer architecture. Now, this is very important architecture that is present in the LLM. The whole LLM is based on this architecture. Now, this was, I think, it was discovered by Google. They had published a research paper on this architecture around 2017, and which formed a basis for OpenAI and ChatGPT, Gemini, all such uh, applications. What is transformer? Does anyone have any doubt?
No, Anaga, you can continue.
Okay, right, fine. So transformers, it is a very complex, actually, term, but I'll make it simple. It consists of multiple layers of self-attention mechanisms. Self-attention mechanism is a type of mechanism. You don't need to understand it in detail. It allows the model to weigh the importance of different words or tokens in a sequence and capture the relationship between them. Okay, just forget this, what I've written. Now imagine, okay, I have two words, book and worm. Okay, these are two different words, book and worm, WORM, worm. Now, when I see these two words independently, they're not related. Okay, book is different and worm is different, right? But if I combine those two words, they form a meaningful word, bookworm, bookworm. Okay, so this means that there exists a kind of relationship between them. So what transformer does that, when it has a data which contains book and worm, then it sees that okay, there can be a relationship between them, these two words. So it assigns a score called as attention score, which represents the relationship between them. So it can be a number. So the relationship can be zero point 0.8, for example. It means okay, there's some amount of relationship between these two words when combined. So if anyone gives me an input that Rahul is a book dash, so then I can predict okay, warm can be one of those words. There is a probability of word coming into that sentence. So this is done by the transformer architecture. That is it. It basically assigns a relationship between two or more words. Next is fine tuning. Now, fine tuning, I spoke in the previous slide. So it can be fine tuned on specific task or domains. So we provide the model with the task specific labeled data, and it learns from that labeled data, and it does only that task which I have told it to do. So next time, if I give a query, then it will answer the query based on whatever fine tuned data it has, rather than just giving something random data, right? So next is inference. Now, once the LLM is trained and fine tuned, it can be used for inference. Now, inference allows utilizing the model to generate text or perform specific language related tasks. For example, given a prompt or a question, an LLM can generate a response or provide an answer by using the learned knowledge from the dataset and its contextual understanding. That is, now inference is nothing but it will implement all that knowledge it has whenever whenever a person will give the query to the LLM model. Next is the contextual understanding. It basically understands the grammar, its context, whatever context that I have given. Okay, this is the context, and you have to answer based on that context. So it will understand whatever data and the context that I have given, and it will answer based on those contexts only. Next is beam search. Beam search, you can you can you just it is a type of algorithm. It is a search algorithm. So it has a database, and it will search the words in those database. So that searching of words is done by beam search algorithm. It's the simplified explanation of beam search algorithm. Next is response generation, the last step, that it will respond uh, to the query based on all these steps that has been done in the LLM model. Now, the next is popular LLM. We have Google BERT, bidirectional encoder representations from Transformer. This is one LLM. Next is Google Gemini, Palm API. It is by Google. Next is Llama, large language model, Meta AI. This is discovered by Meta. Next is OpenAI GPT. That's what we are using since a year or so. ChatGPT 3.5. Now ChatGPT 4 has been launched, and ExcelNet. So these are some of the popular LLMs. Okay, now that we know what is LLM, we'll go on to LangChain. What is LangChain? Okay, so before that, now when you're using ChatGPT, it is internally calling an OpenAI API, and which internally uses GPT 3.5 or GPT 4. Now, please understand that ChatGPT is not an LLM, it is an application of LLM. Whereas GPT 3.5 and 4, these are the LLMs, and ChatGPT uses these LLMs through the OpenAI API. Okay, but now there are a couple of limitations using this architecture. What happens is, first one is, calling OpenAI API is has a cost associated with it, so it is not free. So there is a cost based on the amount of queries that you give, the data set, etc. Next is no access to internet or real time storage. So you can see that ChatGPT has the access to only the data set that it has. It is the data set is present in it, so it cannot refer to the articles that I want. If I want to refer to a particular Wikipedia or any other article, I will not it will not refer to that. And also it will not refer to our private database. So if I have a company, and if I have a database of that company, and I want ChatGPT to answer based on based on that database, it will not answer because it doesn't have access to my database. So this is one of the limitations. Next is, yeah, same, no access to private data sources. So hence OpenAI API is not just enough to build an application based on LLM. So we need something more. We need a framework which can call any LLM model like OpenAI or Gemini Pro or Hugging Face, and we can integrate it with Google, Wikipedia, or our private databases, so that the application can pull data from these various sources and then return the response. Right? So this framework is provided by LangChain. So what happens is, you do not directly call the uh, LLM model. You first go have a framework, that is LangChain. You call a LangChain framework. Use this framework, use this architecture, and then LangChain calls the API of Gemini Pro or OpenAI, and then it will also have access to our private databases. It will answer all the queries based on these data sources. Now, so we can define LangChain as a framework that allows you to build applications using LLMs. Now, there are various components of LangChain. like prompts. First one is the prompts. Prompts are nothing but the instructions given to LLM, and the prompt template class. It's a prompt template is a class in LangChain, which which formalizes the composition of prompts without the need to manually hard code context and queries. So you do not have to sit and code the context and whatever queries that you want. You'll just have a template called prompt template, and you can specify what context do you want, and it will automatically understand, and it will respond based on that template. Next is chains. Now this is very important. As the name implies, chains are the core of LangChain workflows. They combine LLM with the other components, creating applications by executing a sequence of functions. So there are various functions that are happening in LLM and LangChain. So the chain combines all those components and all those functions. So now let's say our application that needs to first retrieve the data from a website, and then it needs to summarize the text, and then it finally needs to use that summary to answer the user submitted questions. Okay, so that's a sequential chain where the output of one function accesses the input to the next, and each function in the chain could use different prompts, okay, and different parameters and even different models. So this the chain does the task of combining all the components and all the functions. Now, to achieve certain tasks, LLM might need to access specific external data sources that are not included in the training data set of the LLM itself. As I told you about the private data sources that are not present in the LLM data set, right? So, the things like internal documents or emails of a particular company. Now, uh, this is referred to as indexes, where it stores all the data set that is specifically needed for this type of application. So this is the next component. One is prompts, next is chains, and the next is indexes, which stores the data set that we require. Now, one of the indexes are document loader. It runs with the third party applications for loading documents from file storage services like Google Drive, etc. So document loader will help you to load a file from your Google Drive storage or your computer storage, etc. Next is vector database, a very important term. So vector database represents data points by converting them into something called vector embeddings, which are numerical representations in the form of vectors with a fixed number of dimensions. So let us first understand that you have a particular database, like you have studied in SQL, there's a database. Okay, so if I have a database in the form of sentences, now what it does, the words are converted into numbers like 0. 0.9, 0.8, etc., and these numbers are stored in an arrays or vectors, what we call. So this is vector embedding. So uh, converting that textual data into numbers or binary form is called as embedding, and that embedding is stored in vectors. So this is known as vector embedding, and the database is known as vector database. And it is a very efficient
I'm
means of retrieval.
sorry to interrupt you. I think the PPT is stuck on the LangChain slide. So,
Yeah, this is the slide that I'm presenting.
okay. Thank you. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. uh, Next is there's something called text splitter. Okay, this is the next slide. Okay, there's something called text splitter, which splits text into small, semantically meaningful chunks. Okay, so we'll understand this whole algorithm when we are coding. Okay, when we are coding our application. Now, LangChain also provides an external memory because LLM does not store any memory, like it does not store the prior conversations that happen in the chatbot. So LangChain solves this problem by giving an external memory to the LLM model, and it stores either either the entire conversation or whatever info we need. So it gives both the options. The next important component is the agents, and it is nothing but it is a reasoning engine to determine which actions to take. So it will tell LLM model which action to take based on the query that has been received. Now, let us talk about the LangChain use cases. So, LangChain can be used for building chatbots, for summarization of the text, and for question answering. We'll be using this question answering application in our app that we'll be building, and data augmentation. So, data augmentation is nothing but generating synthetic data for use in machine learning. Okay, so this is the algorithm of LangChain.
Anuga, before we go ahead to the
Yes.
algorithm, I want you to clear a few doubts that are there in the chat section. So these are cleared on the way as well.
Okay. So, what is the difference between Gemini and Vertex AI? Vertex AI basically it provides a platform for you to use Gemini. So it cannot be compared. Like it is a platform where you can use Gemini AI, where you can apply Gemini Pro uh, technology. Next is, do all Gen AI models use LangChain framework? No, it depends on you, because Gen AI is different. See, LLM is a model. It is an independent model. You can either directly call Gen AI model, that is, you can directly call OpenAI, or you can directly use Gemini Pro, but there will be cost associated with it. So that's why you use LangChain. Okay, and there are many such frameworks like LangChain. Here, will in this application that I'll be developing, I have used LangChain, so I'm speaking only about LangChain, right? So, do you have any more doubts?
I don't think so. We can go ahead. If in case anybody else has doubts, we can take them later on after the session. Maybe we can keep a short Q&A. We can clear all those doubts. So keep putting your doubts in the chat section. We'll get back to it later on.
Okay. So now I think there's enough of theory. We'll go on to build a application. Okay. So I hope you all have uh, laptops with you right now. So what we'll do is we'll make a new folder, and we'll open VS Code, and first we'll create a virtual environment. So I'll give you a brief explanation of what we are going to build. So today we are going to build an application called Chat with Multiple PDF. So I don't know if you've used Chat PDF website, where you upload PDF and then it will answer all your questions related to that PDF. Okay, so has anyone used that website? Yes. Oh, okay. So yes, you will understand it now how that works. So here we'll build a application where you'll upload multiple PDFs, and then you can question, you can give an input, a question related to that PDF, and it will answer all your queries. So for that, we'll use Gemini Pro, and first uh, we'll create a virtual environment. So I hope everyone has opened VS Code, and now in the terminal, I'll create a virtual environment, Python -m benv, and we'll give a name to our virtual environment. For example, I give a name GDSenv. Yes. So you have to code with me, okay? If you have any doubts, please unmute yourself or write it in the chat box. So this will create a virtual environment named GDSenv in your VS Code. Now remember that Gemini Pro works with the Python version that is greater than 3.9. So please check your Python version. Okay, the virtual environment has been created. Now I'll activate this virtual environment by going into GDSenv, cd GDSenv, and then cd scripts. and /activate. So now the virtual environment has been activated. If you have completed this step, then please raise your hand in the meet. Only 3 students. Yes. Yes, Vishakha, I think you need to upgrade it. Okay, so I hope you all have completed this step of creating a virtual environment. Now I'll okay. Now I'll create a file named requirements.txt, and here I'll paste all the libraries that I want to be installed. So yes, okay. So these are the libraries that I'll be using in this application. So the first one is Streamlit for creating an application, and next is the Google Generative AI. So I'll be using this Google Generative AI LLM, and this is for Gemini Pro. Okay. Next is Python.env. I'll be using for loading all the environment variables. So environment variables is where I'll be storing my API key, the Gemini Pro API key. Next is LangChain. We'll be using LangChain framework, and uh, PyPDF2. It is for reading the PDF. So whatever PDF that I'll be uploading, this will read those PDF and store it. Okay. Now PyCPU is the vector embedding technique that I'll be using. This is invented by Facebook. I'll explain it in detail when we'll be coding. Okay. And next is the LangChain Google Gen AI. This means that we can use the LangChain with the Gemini Pro. Okay. This allows us to use the LangChain with Gemini Pro. Now what I'll do is, to install this, I'll write a command pip install -r requirements.txt. Before that, I'll paste this in the chat box. So you have to paste this in the requirements.txt file, and you have to write the command pip install -r requirements.txt and hit enter. So it will install all the required libraries. First, make sure that you are in the folder which I've created, okay, and not in the scripts folder of virtual env. I hope everyone has completed this step. Please raise your hands. Okay. Now we'll create a Gemini Pro API key. This will be getting installed. By the time it is getting installed, we'll create Gemini API key. So go to this link, and if you're not logged in, and or if you do not have an account, please create an account and then log in to this website and go to get API key. and create API key. And you can select any of the Google Cloud projects. You can see my first project. Click any of the my first project and then click on create API key in existing project. Okay. I already have an API key, so I won't be clicking here. So once you have completed this step, please raise your hands. And if you have any doubts, please unmute yourself or type in the chat box. And if you want me to repeat any step, then please tell me. Okay. So I'll go to this website. I've provided the link in the chat box. Then I'll click here, create API key. It will ask you to choose or select a project. And here you can select any of the project. It will provide you an option of my first project. So click on it and then click create API key in existing project. Then it will show you an API key. You have to copy that API key. So have you understood this step? Yes. See, once you click this link, if you're not logged in or if you do not have an account, it will ask you to create your account. And then, one second. One second. Click on this. What you have to do is create API key. Click on create API key. And then you can also click on create API key in new project. And it will generate API key. You have to copy that API key. Is my screen visible? Okay. So has everyone generated an API key? Please raise your hands. Shrushti and Yash. Did you understand the process of creating a new API key? Okay. Okay. So we'll go ahead. Now, once you have that API key, you have copied that API key, what you have to do is create a new file named .env. Okay. And then you will store the API key here. So you store it in a variable named Google API key is equal to, and then double quotes and paste the API key. So you have a variable named Google underscore API underscore key, and then in double quotes, you will paste the API key that you have copied from here. Okay, Shreyas, if you can't see any Google Cloud project, then we'll ask you to create a new Google project. Click on that and it will generate the API key. So yes. Now next, what we'll do is we'll create a file named app.py. Now this is the file where our code will be. Okay. So first I'll import all the libraries that are installed. So please check whether all the libraries have been installed or not. So in my terminal, it's saying that it has installed all the libraries. So now I can import the required libraries. So you have to paste this. So you have to paste this in app.py file. So what are we using here? First is the Streamlit. Okay, we have imported Streamlit as ST. Next is from PyPDF2, we'll be importing PDF reader. That is, this will help us to read the PDF that the user has uploaded. Next is we'll be using Text Splitter, which will be splitting the text. Okay, so okay, first I'll make you understand the algorithm of LangChain, then we'll move on to the coding part. So LangChain consists of different steps. The first one is to read the PDF. Okay, we can do that by PyPDF2. So it will upload all those PDFs into the database. Next is what it does is it splits the text from the PDF, the entire text from PDF, into chunks of data. That is into tokens or chunks, into different parts. And we can specify the size of the chunk that we want. You know, if for example I say 200, it means 200 characters. I want 200 characters in one chunk of data. So this will divide the text into chunks of 200 characters. Next step is vector embedding, where, as I discussed, in vector embedding step, it converts the text. Now it converts the chunk of data into some numeric format. Okay, and it will store that embeddings in a database. And for storing that database, we are using files in our application, right? Now next, okay, this after this is done, the user will ask a question. For example, what is a neural network? Now, what the LangChain will do, it will convert the question again into a numeric format, because the database contains the text, contains the data in the numeric format. So the question also has to be converted into numeric format. So this is known as question embedding. Next, it will do a semantic search in the database. It will search the answer to that query in the database, uh, which is in the form of chunks of numeric format. Okay, and then it will give a result, a ranked result, just like how we saw, you know, in here with the probability. So see, this is the probability. Okay, this is the word and this is the probability. So it will return me the result in the similar format, and then it will give that result to LLM, and a specified response will be generated by the LLM model by our application, right? So this is the step. That is, first is the PDF reader. It will read the PDF. Next is we'll be using text splitting for dividing the text into chunks. Next is vector embedding, where we are converting the data that is present in the data set into numeric format. Next, we are storing these embeddings, that is this numeric format data, into the database, for which we are using files. And the question that the user will be giving, the input that the user will be giving, is again converted into numeric format, and it will search the database for that particular chunk where the answer is present, and it will return me the results, and the LLM will return the answer to that query asked by the user. Okay, so this is very simple algorithm, simple steps that the LangChain follows. So now when I go to the libraries, here for text splitting, I have used langchain.textsplitter. Okay. And we have imported recursive character text splitter. That is, there are two types of text splitter. First is the character text splitter, simply a character text splitter, which will split the text into size that you have specified. So if I want the size of 200, then it will split the data. But it may happen that to preserve the meaning of the sentence, there can be a chunk formed which is greater than 200. So for that, what we'll use is recursive character text splitter. Now, for example, if I have a sentence that I have, for example, as I said, okay, Rahul is a bookworm. Now, if I want only 10 characters, then it may choose only Rahul as a book. Okay, this is the one chunk. It may divide the sentence into one chunk, that Rahul as a book. Okay, but the complete sentence is bookworm, right? So it cannot change the meaning of the sentence. But characters text splitter does not understand this, because you have only specified 10, so it will divide the sentence into 10 characters. So that's why we use recursive character text splitter, where it will first split the sentence, and it will split until the meaning is preserved, and also the number of characters that you need is also maintained. So it will, if, see, Rahul is a book. Okay, this is not forming a meaningful sentence, and this is changing the meaning of the original input data. So what it will do is it will again split into two parts. Rahul is a bookworm. So now there are four chunks, and also, as I mentioned, that okay, the chunk size should be 10 or less than 10. This is also preserved because all the chunks are less than 10 size. So this is how recursive character text splitter works. Next is import OS, and next is from LangChain Google GenAI. We are importing Google Generative AI embeddings. This is for the embedding steps that I mentioned here. For converting the text into numeric format, we are using Google Generative AI embeddings from LangChain Google GenAI. Next is we are importing Generative AI as GenAI, Google's Generative AI. And next is from langchain.vectorstores, we are importing files for storing the embeddings in such a way that it becomes easy for the model to search the data. Okay, search the particular chunks. Now there are many such uh, storage like files, but here we'll be using files because it is a very simple and lightweight database, and it was discovered by Facebook. Okay, so the next one is from LangChain Google GenAI, import chat Google Generative AI. Now this is for Gemini Pro. Next is we'll be importing load QA chain from langchain.chain question answering. This is for our question answering task. Okay, if the user gives a particular question, then I have to then the model has to reply with a particular answer. That is done by the load QA chain. Next is prompt template. If you remember, I discussed about prompt template, which allows you to specify the type of or the format in which you want the answer. Okay, so the format in which you give the prompt and in format in which you want the answer. Next is load from .env, import import load underscore .env. This is for loading all the environment variables which contains this API. Okay, so this will be using load underscore .env. So this will load all our environment variables. Next, what I'll do is os.getEnv Google underscore API underscore key. So I'm loading the key here, and next I'll do is configure the key for our use. So genai.configure API underscore key is equal to os.getEnv and the name of the API key, that is Google underscore API key, the name of the variable where I've stored the Google API key. Okay, now my API key has been loaded here, and now I can use that API key to form the LLM application. Now, as I discussed, there are different steps. So we'll be writing different functions for all these different steps of LangChain. If you remember, what's the first step? The first step is to read the PDF. So I'll be creating a function named def get underscore PDF underscore text. So what is the input? The input will be the PDF docs, all the PDF docs that the user will be uploading. So here I'll write text is equal to, and for PDF, because we can upload multiple PDF, so have to go through all the PDF docs that have been uploaded. So for PDF in PDF docs, I'll call PDF reader. So this is the variable PDF reader is equal to. Now I'll call the PDF reader which I have imported from PyPDF2. So PDF reader, and I'll give the input as PDF. So this PDF will be read with the help of PDF reader library. And next, for page in PDF reader, for every page in PDF reader dot pages, I'll store it in the variable text. So text plus equal to page dot extract underscore text. And what I have to do is return text. So what I'm doing here, I'm reading the PDF from all the PDF docs. I'm reading it with the help of PDF reader, and then for every page in PDF reader, I'm storing all the text, all the content of that page in the text variable. And what I do is return
प्रोजेक्ट
that
करवा रहे हैं
text
तो
variable. So this step reads the PDF and returns the text of that PDF.
मैं लूंगा फर्स्ट
Now, I hope everyone is done with this step.
तीन वाली ले रही है
Please raise your hands. Okay, ma'am. Could you please repeat the steps of chat PDF from start? Okay. So first, we create a virtual environment using Python -m VNV, and you give a name to the virtual environment. I've given the name of GDSC env. Okay, this will create a virtual environment. Then you have to activate the virtual environment. You'll go to cd GDSC env, then cd scripts
इसीलिए
and
पूछ रहा था
/activate.
एसी वाली थी तो उसने सुना कुछ और मैंने बोला इधर वाले सुना शायद
Is my screen visible?
तो बोले सुबह जाए क्या सुबह बोला इसी में
So once I've activated my virtual environment, what I'll do is I'll create a file named requirements.txt, which contains all the libraries that I will require to build this application. So
समझ में तो आया
I'll install all these libraries by writing a command pip install -r requirements.txt. So it will install all the libraries, and then meanwhile you have to create a file
1000 का 2 शर्ट एक टी शर्ट
डिमांड नहीं देवे जैसे 7,000 में शर्ट देते हैं तो फिर
store the API key that you have copied from the website. Next is go to app.api. First create a file named app.py, and you have to import all the necessary libraries that you need. I've pasted this in the chat box. Next is load _.env. This is for loading all these three statements are loading the environment variables, that is loading the API key and configuring the API key so that you can use it in the model. Now next is we'll be creating a function for every step that I have explained. So the first is get PDF text. It will read the PDF, read all the PDF that are uploaded, and it will extract the pages and store it in the variable named text, and it will return me the text. So I hope you have understood this. Okay. Now first step is completed. Next step, Yes. Now first step is completed. Next step is to, if you see this slide, the next step is to divide the text into chunks. So I'll write a new function named def get text get underscore text underscore chunks. And the input for this will be the text that I have retrieved from the PDF. So this text will be the input for this function. So the output for this function will be the input for the next function. So here what I'll use, I'll first create a variable named text splitter. Text splitter is equal to, now here I'll use the recursive character text splitter that I've imported. Okay, so recursive character text splitter, it will give you the suggestion. And then what you'll specify first is the chunk size. Okay, that is how many characters do you want. So chunk size is, I want it to be 10,000. That is 10,000 characters in one chunk of data. Next is chunk overlap. Chunk overlap means there can be overlap between two or more chunks. Okay, so I want that length of that overlap to be 1,000. So these are the two parameters that we're giving to this function, recursive character text splitter. Now what I'll do is I'll store all the chunks in the variable named chunk, and I will split all the text using split text function. So this is the function that I have created from the recursive character text splitter, and this I'll use it. Okay, this is a class we can say, and this I'll use it to split the text that I've read from the PDF. So now all the chunks are stored in the variable named chunks, and I will return the chunks. So this function will split the data into chunks and it will return it. Next step is the vector embedding. Okay, so it will have to convert that all the data, all the text into numeric format. So for that, I'll write a new function named def get underscore vector underscore store, and the input will be the text chunks that I have created in the previous function. So here I'll be using embeddings. So this is the variable name embeddings, and now I'll be using the Google generative AI embeddings for converting the data into numeric format. Simple. Okay, so Google generative AI embeddings. So here the model that I'll be using is models / embedding -001. So this is the model that is present in the Google generative AI embeddings, and we are using this model. So okay, now what has happened after this step, all the data is converted into, or we can say we have used this embedding where the model is embedding 001. I've specified which model to use. Now what I will do is I'll store the data, the numeric data, using FAISS, FAISS dot from underscore text. And what I will write here is what I want to store the text chunks. I have to store the text chunks, that is the input to this function. And embedding. Now I want to use the embedding, this one, embeddings that I've created in the previous step, that I've mentioned in the previous step. This embedding will be used here on the text chunks, and it will be stored in the FAISS database. And I will save this in the local database so that the retrieval is easy. So vector underscore store dot save local, and I'll use the FAISS index. I'm specifying that I'm using the FAISS index for storing it in the local database. So this step is completed. We have converted the data, we have embedded the data into numeric format for easy retrieval, and we are storing it using files. Okay, now this step is also done. Now if you remember, the next step is the conversational chain. That is, we have to combine all these functions into one. So sorry def get conversational chain. Now here I will specify the prompt template. That is how I want the prompt to be. Okay, so you have to write three double quotes, and then I'll paste this here. So you have to paste this in the app.py in this function prompt template. So here I've written that answer the question as detailed as possible from the provided context, and make sure to provide all the details. And if the answer is not in the provided context, just say answer is not available in the context, and don't provide the wrong answer. So this is the instruction that I'm giving to the model. Okay, you have to answer the detail as possible from the provided context. What is provided context? The PDFs that have been provided. And you have to provide all the details. And if the user is asking a question that is not present in the PDF, then just simply answer that it is not available in the context, and don't provide anything random or any wrong answer. Okay, this is the instruction that I'm giving, and context is the I'm defining the context and the question that I'll be getting from the user input, and this is the answer. Okay, so this is the prompt template. I have defined the prompt template. Now it understand what it has to do. Now model, what model I'm using? I'm using the Chat Google Generative AI, and I'm using the Gemini Pro. So you have to mention that. So using the Chat Google Generative AI that I have imported here, I'll write this, and I'll say that the model that I'm using is Gemini Pro. So Gemini Pro, and the temperature will be 0.3. Temperature is nothing but the creativity level that you want. The next is prompt. So you will say that, okay, from this template that I've provided, from the prompt template, use the template as prompt template. So template is equal to prompt template, and input variables will be context and question. So these will be the two input variables that the chatbot will be getting. So input variables is equal to context and question. These two are the input variables. Next is chain. Okay, this is, these are the components. I spoke about the prompt, the component of LangChain, the chain. What is chain? You have to specify here that I want this LLM to work as a question answering application. That it means that the user will be asking a question, and the chatbot will be giving an answer related to that question from the dataset or the context given. So I'll be using load QA chain and model, comma, chain type is stuff. This is one of the chain type. So this is the syntax of this load QA chain. So to write it as it is, and prompt is, what prompt do you want? That prompt will be the one that I've specified in the previous line. So I now have specified chain. Next is to return this chain. Okay, so chain is nothing but it is combining all the components, all the functions into one, and it will return me that chain. So okay, now this is over. Next is I'll create a new function for the user input, because we have to if you see here in the slide, we have to convert the user question into embedding, that is into numeric format. because the computer cannot understand this human language. So that's why we'll be doing this in this function, converting it into numeric format.
भाई कितना गरम लाइट पूरा ये गरम
So user input will take the uh, input as user question. This function will take the input as user question, whatever question the user is he will be giving, and now we have to embed it. Embed it. That is the same process that we did
लेके आ तीन चार
when we were uh, storing the data set as a numerical format. This same process will be repeated here for the question. So use Google generative AI embeddings, and model will be
चल दूँ
same thing.
चलाओ ये की
Models dot embedding dash 001. So this is the model.
खुद से करूँगा कंप्रेसर बंद होने के बाद खुद चालू करूँगा तो चलेगा
Okay, and new DB,
चाहिए ठंडा तो करो नहीं तो छोड़
that is new database. I'll be using files dot load underscore local and files index. I'll be using files index, comma. There's one more parameter to it, that is embeddings, comma, allow deserialization, allow dangerous deserialization is equal to 2. So this is the format in which this function takes, and I'll have the table docs. I'll explain this in a minute. Let me first write this. New DB, the new database that I've defined, dot similarity search, user question. Okay, so what I'm doing here is that I'll first convert the question into the numeric format, then I'll store it using the files index I'll store that question into a new database. Okay, and now what I'll do, I'll search the answer for that question in the uh, database that dataset that the model has. Okay, so I'll do the similarity search of that question. Now you'll use chain, and you'll use this function that we have created, get conversational chain. So what it does is it will call all the functions that I have defined here. So it will understand the prompt, and it will get to know the chain and the model that I'll be using. Now I want the response. Okay, so response will be chain. Chain does the task of combining all the functions, right? So input documents, it will take this parameter input documents as docs. What are the input documents? The docs that the question has. Okay, and comma, question is the user question, and return only outputs. So you have to return only the output. So this will be set to true. So this is the format of the response that I want. Okay, so input documents will be the docs that I've defined here. Question will be the user question, and return only outputs. Next, you can print the response, and you have to write it on the you have to print it on the screen, right? So you use Streamlit for it. So st.write reply, and you have to print response output text. So the response, this variable is actually an array, and you have to print only the output text, that is response का output text चाहिए. ठीक है, तो वही सिर्फ print होगा. screen पे, right? So I'll be printing this response on the screen with the use of Streamlit. Now यहाँ तक doubt है, किसी का कुछ miss हुआ है? What or which part do you want me to repeat? Yes. Last step. Okay, 1 second. This is the last. This is the last function. So use this link to access the code, the whole entire code. And please let me know if you're able to access this code. So does anyone want me to repeat any step? Okay. So if you're not completed till here, then you can use the code that I've given and you can paste it in your app.py file. Okay. So we'll move ahead. Now we have to create the application. Okay, these are all the backend functions that we have written. Now we'll have to code the front end part. Okay, so I'll write def main and I'll give the title of the website as set page st.page set page config, and the title is chat pdf, and I'll give the header st.header chat with multiple pdf using Gemini. Okay, yeah. So this is the heading of the website. Next is the user question. I'll take the input of the user question. So st.text underscore input. So I'll write ask a question from the PDF files. Okay, so this will be displayed and I'll store the question in the variable named user question. So if user question, that is if the user has entered the question, then use the function user input that we have created here. Okay, and the parameter and the input for this function will be the user question. I'll call this function user input. Okay, after that I'll make a sidebar for uploading the PDF. So with st.sidebar, the title of that sidebar will be menu. Okay, and next is PDF docs. Okay, so here I'll upload the PDF. So I'll use the file uploader function st.fileuploader of Streamlit and upload PDF. Upload your PDF. I'll write upload your PDF files and click on the submit button. Submit and process button. Next, I'll write that except multiple files is equal to true, because we want multiple PDFs, right? So except multiple files is equal to true. So this is a line for uploading the PDF files. So I've used file uploader of Streamlit. Next, if st.button, that is, if the user has clicked on the button named submit and process, then what I will do is I'll display a spinner for loading. Okay, so with st.spinner processing, so I'll display as processing, and while and when I click on the submit and process button, what will happen? First is that all the text will be read by this function, get PDF text. So one by one we'll call all these functions. So first step is to get the PDF. So get PDF text, okay, and the input will be the PDF docs, all the docs that are uploaded by the user. So okay, first step is done, first function is done. Next is text chunks. Okay, next you have to divide the uh, you have to break the data into chunks. So text chunks is equal to get text chunks, and the input will be raw text, right? And next step is to vector embed. So get vector store, you'll use this function that you have created here, get vector store, and the input will be the text chunks. And next, okay, this is done. So you have completed all the steps. The conversational chain, you have called the conversational chain function here and user input function here. Okay, so all the functions we have utilized. Now what you have to do is, after all these functions have been implemented, you have to show as done message, a success message. And now you have to call the main function. So if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equal to main underscore underscore, okay, then you'll call the main function. So I'll paste this entire code in the code share link. Yes. So I've written the main function where I have uh, took the user input, the user question, and then I have uh, extracted all the PDF files that the user has uploaded, and then I have implemented these functions. That is, first to read the PDF, then break the data into chunks, and then the vector embedding process. Okay. After all this is done, we'll call the main function. Now you have to run. The code is done. You have to run the Streamlit app. So how will you run this application? We'll use a command streamlit run app.py. So streamlit run app.py. It will provide you a link, localhost link. You have to click on this link. Vector stores not found. Okay, function community. Is anyone facing this error? Please let me know. So you have to install pip install minus u langchain community. Okay, let's see and install that.
सोलह सत्रह सौ रुपये का सामान आया था ये इसमें कैश देना 694 कैश बिल 1160
So by the time it is getting installed, does anyone want me to repeat any particular step or any function? Has everyone understood the code?
1166 का बताओ
Yes.
और 920 हाँ 1166 वाले का 4920 हाँ और उसका
It is done.
694
Let us run the app again. Okay. So we have our application here, and you can see the sidebar where you can upload the PDF files. You can upload multiple files, and you can click on the submit and process button. And here is the input box for asking questions. Right. So the limit is 200 MB per file. This is provided by the Streamlit itself. So click on browse files, and you can select any two PDF. So I'm selecting these two PDFs. You can select multiple PDFs. Open. And now these two PDFs are uploaded, and click on submit and process button. So it will show you processing. So what happens when you're saying it is when it is displaying processing? Okay. This is one error. Okay, 1 second. Okay. So load the PDF. And then click on submit and process. So all these functions, that is get PDF text, get text chunks, and vector store, get vector store, all these are being implemented in this process when we are saying when we click on the button and then it is displaying done. Okay, it means it is it converted into the numeric format. All the data set is converted into the numeric format. Okay, now if I ask any question, like I have uploaded a research paper based on the crowdfunding using blockchain. So if I ask a question, what is crowdfunding? And if I press enter, then it will take some time because we are using the open source model, right? And it will give me a reply from the PDF. Okay, so 1 second. I'll paste this code in the code share again. Use this code. And now check if the application is running in your computer. If you're facing any errors, please let me know. Okay. So see, let me show you the document that I've uploaded. So this is the PDF that I've uploaded. Now, challenges of crowdfunding. Okay. Now, if I ask this with the chatbot, what are the challenges of crowdfunding? It will go to the PDF and then it will search this part, because now this whole PDF is divided into chunks. So it will search for that particular chunk of data, and then it will uh, give me the answer based on this whole paragraph. See. So challenges of crowdfunding issues and futures. So this is the answer that it has provided. Yes. Is anyone facing any errors when you're running the application? Please raise your hands or please unmute yourself. .env does not exist. Acha. Have you installed the .env? Have you created this file? .env file. I think you'll have to install it again. So, go to requirements. Pip install python.env. Paste this command in the terminal and then let me know if it's working or not. Yes. This is the .env file where you have a variable named Google API key, and then you have the key which you have got from the website. You have to paste that key. The file name of the env file should be .env and not just env. Okay, please check this. So Srushti Pawar, is your error resolved? Yes, but even after installing the requirements, it is still showing error. Okay. Cannot import name inode. It's load underscore dot env. There's an I. Yes, there's an I in your sentence. Srushti, what is your error exactly? Can you please screen share if it's possible? Yes. We'll stop the screen sharing. Okay. Please open the terminal. Yeah. Yes, Vishaka, this was today's project. Srushti, did you type the command pip install python.env? No, no, don't paste it here in the scripts. First, okay, do cd dot dot. Come out of the scripts folder. Yes. And come out of the GDS env. Now paste that command. Okay, it is already installed. Now run the Streamlit app. Click on the localhost link. The local URL. It's running now. Yes. Now try to upload PDF and then see whether it's giving proper output or not. Okay. So I hope um, everyone enjoyed the session today and understood what is LLM, understood its working, LangChain, and also learned something new and built this application. You can use this application for yourself also, right? So if you're writing a research paper or if you want to read something, from PDF, and if the PDF is huge, then you can upload the PDF in this app, and then you can get the summarization of that PDF. Okay. So yes, if anyone is facing any errors, please unmute yourself.
Anuga, are we done with the session entirely? All the
Yes.
doubts are yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. You guys made the session really interactive and really a success. We'll be having another session on 24th. It'll be all about Gen AI. The details will be shared soon with you. We have emailed you, and it's also the all the details are there on our Instagram. We'll be sending out the WhatsApp messages very soon. So hoping that you all will attend that session as well. If in case you have any doubts regarding the Gen AI Study Jam campaign, you can go ahead and ask. Otherwise, we are done here. Thank you very much. We'll wrap up the session, and the meet will be open for next 5 minutes. After that, we'll end the meet. So if in case you have any doubts for Anaka or for any query related to study jam, you can go ahead and ask.